So good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all for the today's practical session of lab lab practice one, which is based on machine learning. So before we start the practical session, I would like to take a quick review of the syllabus of this lab. You know that I hope this screen is visible to all. May I
Yes,
know?
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, fine. So you can see the guidelines are given. You can go through the syllabus of this. So we have to conduct all the practicals on the Python. So this is the first part of the laboratory practice one, which is based on machine learning. So there are total 6 assignments under this part one, and out of these 6 assignments we have to attempt any 4 assignment, but the condition is that the assignment based on clustering with k-means, it is compulsory. So that means except this assignment we have to conduct any other 3 assignments, right? So because majority of students, they are not aware about the Python, how to perform the data set preparation in a Python. So I have selected the first assignment. Uh, so this is the first assignment. So it is based on the data set preparation. So this is mandatory. And then because the k-means clustering is compulsory, so we have to compulsory implement it. So this is the clustering one, fifth assignment. So first, fifth, they are compulsory for us, and then later on during the course, during this practical course, I'll just, even dynamically, I will decide what would be the other 2 assignments from the 6 assignments. So probably I will, plan for one more extra practical. So let's see which is that extra practical. Okay, so total we are going to conduct the 5 assignments. So the second assignment is on the assignment of regression technique. Third assignment is on classification technique. We have to use any of the classification techniques. So problem statements are given to us. We have to just apply the algorithms on this data sets given to us, and we have to maybe sometimes we need to pre-process the data. We have to perform the data set preparation and then apply the machine learning algorithm, and then at the end of building the machine learning model and executing it, we have to evaluate the performance of that model. Then fourth assignment, it is based on improving the performance of classifier, where you can have the liberty to use the different classifiers. So you can use any of the supervised machine learning algorithms. So you may use Naive-Bayes classification, Bayesian network. Here you have a liberty to use support vector machine or any of your perceptron learning algorithm. So that is basically the liberty given to us. Or maybe here also we can use the uh, naive-Bayes classification algorithm. So no problem. Absolutely, and this is compulsory. This is clustering assignment. So this is typically comes under the unsupervised learning. We know that when we do not know the labels of the data set, then we use the unsupervised machine learning technique. So clustering is one of the unsupervised machine learning technique, and there are different types of clustering algorithms. So k-means clustering, then k-medoid clustering, hierarchical clustering. These are all the different types of clustering algorithms. Depending on the accuracy of each of these algorithms, we select the uh, specified or desired clustering algorithm. So k-means is having the better accuracy as compared to the other, and few drawbacks are also there with the k-means clustering. Like computationally, k-means clustering is very expensive to implement. There's a lot of iterations are there in the clustering to create a clusters for a given data set. So when we study the clustering, definitely we will explore this assignment. And at the end, we have the last assignment, that is on association rule mining, where we are supposed to create the association rules two algorithms used for the association rule mining, and the algorithm that we are going to learn in our syllabus, it is called as a priori algorithm, a priori association rule mining algorithm. So there are many other, but this is specifically for our syllabus. So definitely we are going to use the a priori algorithm if we opted this assignment. So this is just a overlook of the assignment, and the final assignment is the assignment on multi-layer neural network model. So we have to use the neural network, we have to build the neural network model. So I'll just explore those things, because here we have two different approaches for the neural network model: feed forward and feed backward, and then different neurons function we have to use. So ReLU function is one amongst that, and the libraries that we need to that we need in order to implement this assignment is the Keras library. So Keras is basically a library or a package that allows you to create a neural network model in Python. And typically this library is also used in other data science tools like R programming and Veka, so on. So that is this is just a brief overview of the syllabus. So just to start with the first assignment, and I'll just explore the first assignment, and we will see what are the tasks that we have to perform as part of the lab session for this assignment. So as a part of this first assignment, we have to download the HART dataset from the following link. So this link is given. So Kaggle is the resource, data resource, where all the popular data sets are available, and you can see there are thousands of data sets available on this site. So Kaggle is the single platform that provides the different data set for the beginners of data science practitioners or machine learning practitioners. Fine, so you have to go to this link. I'll just take you to the link. So you can see it goes here, and it will show you some description about this data set. Okay, so this is you can call it as there are 10 to 15 columns. 15 columns are there, and total number of
Hello, sir.
yes, it's not visible.
No, sir, it's not visible.
Okay, just give me a moment. I'll just share my instead of sharing the window, I'll just share the screen so that it would be easily available to all of you. Okay, fine. Okay, I hope it's visible now. Okay, so
Yes,
when I
sir.
when I clicked here on this link, so this link navigated me to the Mozilla browser, and here I hope now it is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the hard data set, it's available here on the Kaggle's website, and you can see that there are total 15 columns and a lot of rows are there. So there are around you can say that, yeah, there are total 303 rows. That means we have been given a 13 samples, and this sample has 15 features. So if you want to see those columns, you can also explore them here. But anyways, we are going to explore them in the Python as well. So I'm not going to explore them here. So this is just a description, you can say, a very brief description about the data set. So the type of each of this column is also mentioned here. So from here you can download this data set. I have already downloaded the data set in my machine, so you can download it here. So I'll again go back to here. So as a part of this assignment, our first task is we have to find out the shape of this data set, right? This is the first task. Then find the missing values in the data set. If some row had some missing values, then we have to find out it. Again, find the data type of each of the columns. We have to find out what type of data is exist in each of the columns. So whether it is integer, float, numeric, nominal, ordinal, so on and so forth. So this is the third task. And then finally, the fourth task is finding out the zeros. Whether any row contains zero or whether any column contains zero value, that we have to find out. Then there is one column in this data set which is called as age, and we have been asked that find the mean age of the patient, and then at the end we supposed to extract these columns: age, sex, chest pain, RST, BP, cholesterol, and so on. We have to extract these columns from the data set, and then randomly divide the data set in training. So training data set should have percentage of 75, and test data set should have percentage of 25%. So first, in today's session, we'll try to explore the Jupyter notebook, and we will try to execute this task. On the Saturday's extra session, which is compensated for the um Tuesday's lab session, which I couldn't conduct it due to some official work. So in the Saturday's session, I'm going to explore this part, that is confusion matrix, because we have not yet started this topic, confusion matrix. So on Saturday's session, I'll explain you the confusion matrix, the theory part of confusion matrix, just in 10 or 15 minutes. Uh, okay, am I audible? Are you listening to me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Fine. So on Saturday's lab session, in first 10 or 15 minutes, I'll just explain this confusion matrix theory, and then we'll try to build a model for this heart disease, and we test that model on our test data, and we'll see the value of this, all the things: accuracy, what is the accuracy of the model, what is the precision, what is recall, and what is F1 score, because you need some theory part understanding to understand this confusion matrix. So that's the reason from today's lab session I have skipped this, and probably on the Saturday we will complete this first assignment. Okay, so let's go back and okay. So as I mentioned you have to first, to use the Jupyter notebook, you have to first install some Python package. Okay, so Anaconda is the package that you can use. I'll just go here, download Anaconda. You can type in here. It will definitely navigate you to the Anaconda's website. Before you download the Jupyter, before you use the Jupyter, you have to make sure that Anaconda is available on your system, right? And then you can download the Anaconda from here. Maybe in downloads you will get this file. This is the exe, this is the installer. You just check the configuration of your system. If your system is Windows 7 onwards, and if it is a 64-bit, then you can download this. Otherwise, the other configuration installers, they are also available, so you can select from it. Okay. So my system installation, my machine configuration is 64-bit, so that's the reason I have downloaded this. And when you install this exe file, the Anaconda get installed on your machine. I'll just okay. And after installation, you will see this screen. Is it visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So here you can see the different IDEs are available under this Anaconda Python IDE. So the first IDE is CMD. This is command prompt Python development environment. This is Datalore, IBM Watson Studio Cloud, Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook, PowerShell, Qt Console, Spider, Glueviz, Orange, PyCharm Professional, RStudio. So by default, these first 8 IDEs, they will be installed. You have to just launch them. But these are some additional IDEs given by the Anaconda. So if you want to work in any of these IDEs, if you want to work in PyCharm Professional, which is typically used by the developers in the Python or the coders, full stack coders, full stack developers of the Python, they use this PyCharm Professional. But generally, for the application purpose and for the beginners, Jupyter is highly recommended. Jupyter Notebook specifically, and you can also use the RStudio also. But because RStudio is not allowed in our syllabus, so we are not going to use them. If you want to see the machine learning using R programming or data science using R programming, you just visit my YouTube channel. You can uh, get a lot of videos there for the different machine learning algorithm implementation and for the different problem statements. So because we have decided to use the Jupyter Notebook, so you have to just create your launch, click on your launch button, and when you click on the launch button, the client of Jupyter Notebook, it will get open in Mozilla Firefox specifically. So this is the Kaggle dataset actually. Well, so you will navigate it here when you first launch the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, I have created some script, Python script for this lab. Yes. Okay. So specifically, we are now dealing with this script data preparation, in which we have to find out the shape of the data set, then mean of the each column, and then type of each column, whether the data set has any missing values, so on and so forth. Right. So I'll just go here. So you can just go here. This is the Jupyter Notebook, and here you can just play around. So this is an online Python IDE, you can say. Okay, and when you open this, one more window is open with this. I think I have missing it. Okay. So now, as we know that as we do in C or any other programming language, to use some functions, we import some libraries. The same way, in Python, if you want to create a data frame, or if you want to use existing data frames that are, the default data set that are provided by the Jupyter Notebook, if you want to use them, you have to import a library called as import pandas as PD. Okay, so pandas is a package that provides or allows you provides or gives you the different functions to create, read, write the data frame. Remember, whatever data that I will create in a Python, it will be called as a data frame. So PD is what? PD is a pandas. This is just an abbreviation of pandas. Okay. So pandas is a library, or it's a package that allows the user to create, write, and read the data frame in the Python. Well, then the second library is from sklearn.model selection import train underscore test underscore split. So can anybody tell me what is sklearn?
It is a package.
Okay, what is the name of this package? SK stands for?
Scikit-learn.
Exactly right. Very good. Who is speaking? Okay. Anyways, no problem. So yes, absolutely right. So scikit-learn, it's a big package. It's a big library in the Python, which gives you the n number of functions, right from creating a model to split the data set, so on and so forth, right? So these are some functions of this package that we are going to use. sklearn.model underscore selection. So from this library, we are going to import this function called train underscore test underscore split. So this function, the name itself indicates that, or you may interpret it from this name that this function allows us to split our data set into train and test. Then from the same library, we are importing this function called matrix. And we are using this function called confusion underscore matrix Again, from the same package, so from the matrix package, we are importing this function classification underscore report. So these three libraries, these two libraries, specifically these two libraries, they will be required on the Saturdays for the remaining part of this first assignment. When we are creating a confusion matrix, we require them. Okay, even if you today, if I skip this, it doesn't make any sense. Okay. So now, how do I run this? So line by line, you can compile and run the Python code. Otherwise, you can select all the lines and then you can run it. Okay. So what I will do is I will select all these libraries and I'll just click on run here. So here is the toolbar that you can use. So here is the run option. Many of you are familiar with it. So if error is not occurred, then it will go to the next line. Now, we have to import the data set in the Jupyter notebook. So for that purpose, first you need to understand that the hard data set which I have downloaded from this website, where I need to copy it. Okay. So then I will first find out what is my present working directory in this Jupyter notebook. So it can be done by using this command called pwd, and I simply run this. So my directory is I'm presently working under this directory C:users and IT. So this gives me the idea that I have to copy this downloaded dataset hard from in this under this folder under this path. Okay, so maybe I have the dataset downloaded here hard, then I will copy it from this place and I will place it to C users IT, and here I have copied this dataset. So you can see, and if you open this dataset, this is a CSV file. You know what is CSV file? It is a comma separated file. It is different from Excel file basically, but this is highly used in the data science and machine learning. Okay. So this is my actually the data set, and this data set has we know that it has 303 rows and yeah, and around 15 columns. So if you look at the 15th column, you will observe that this column had some categorical value, or you can also call it as a qualitative value, right? So it has only two values. This is also a Boolean feature, you can say, which takes only two values, yes and no. So this or you can interpret from this that this is my output. Okay. So what this data set is, if person, this is the age, this is the sex, that is one stand for I think female and zero stand, no, one stands for male and zero stand for female. Then if chest pain, if it is typical chest pain, sorry, if it is asymptotic chest pain, the BP is 160, cholesterol is 286, FBS value is 0, ECG value is 2, max HR value is 108, X angular value is 1, old peak is 1.5, slope is 2, and CA value is 3, and then TAL value is normal, then we say that the person has the chances, or person's likely to have a heart attack or heart disease. Okay, that means a person may have the chances of heart attack. And for the first sample, you can see that the label is that even after this, all the values for each the feature, the label of this first sample is no. That means the person do not have any chances of, this person do not have the heart attack. Now these labels of all the 303 samples, they have been given to us, and we have to supposed to perform some operation on this data set. So for a time being, I'll just close this data set. Okay, fine. So we'll go back to our notebook. Fine. So now I understood that I have to copy the hard data set to this under this directory. So then I can import this data set in the Jupyter notebook. Okay, fine. So now what I will do is to import the samples or rows into some other object in Python, I'm going to use the read underscore CSV function of pandas library that allows me to read the values of your data set and store it somewhere. Okay. So pd.read underscore CSV into bracket the name of my data set. So heart.csv, this is the name of my data set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm storing all these 303 samples into this new data frame called data. So data is called as my new data frame, in which I am copying all the 303 rows of this data set called heart.csv, and then I will perform some operations on this samples. Okay. So let's run this. So no error occurred. Then if you want to see what are the first few rows, if you want to see the first few samples, then this function is used, data.head, which gives me the first few samples of my data frame. So it typically displays the first 5 samples, and you can see these are the row number. This is the first column, unnamed. This is second column, age, then sex, then chest pain, rest BP, so on. And the last column is my target variable, and all these are my input variable, or you can also call that this is my output and this is my input. These 14 columns right from here to here, they are also called as the feature of the data set, and this is called as the output label of the data set. Fine. Okay. Same way, we can also see the last few rows of our data set using this function called tail. So data is the name of my data frame, dot tail is the function I'm going to use, which displays the last few rows. Okay, so these are the last few rows that we had. Now, if you want to see what type of data we have, whether it is a data frame or something else, then you can use this function called type. And to this function, we will pass our data frame called data, and we'll see what type of data we have. Just run it, and you can see this is the pandas core.frame.data frame. So it's saying that, okay, data is a data frame. Okay, this object is basically a data frame. Now we'll go to our first task, that is find the shape of the data. So we will use data.shape function, that because data is my data frame. Can I change the name of this? Okay, I'll do one thing. Instead of that, I'll just call it new df. So new df stands for data frame. I'll just run this. Okay, again new df, so it will show you. Again, this is new df. Otherwise, few students, they may get confused with this data. So if I want to know what type of this object new df is, then it will show you using this type function. So type function shows that it is a data frame in a Python. Now, if I want to see what type of shape that this new data frame has, then I'll simply call it. So this gives you the shape. Shape means what are the number of rows and what are the columns. So it says that this data frame has 303 rows and 15 columns. The same way, if you want to see what are the other information that lies in this data frame, then you just go with this function called info, new data frame.info, that gives us the information about the data set. So it will show you what is the class. It is a data frame. The range is, there are total 303 samples, and the row numbers are starting from 0 to 302. There are total 15 columns. Fine. And this info function itself gives us the data type of each column. So if you take a first column, that is 0th column, you can see its data type, all the feature values of this feature comes under integer. Then age is also having integer data type values. The second column is also having the integer data type value. However, the third column, its data type is object. Okay, it had some object like asymptotic, normal, something like that. And then so on. This is for the fourth column, and all the way it goes to the last column, and you can see the data type of the last column is also object. So these are the data types which are mentioned here: float, integer, and object. And how much memory is required to store these samples in a data frame, it is also shown here. So it took around 35.6 kilobytes to store these 303 rows and 15 columns. Okay, so that's the about the info function. And then we'll go for the next function, that is describe function. So it will describe the data frame. It will give you the summary of the data set. So new df.describe, this function will show you all the values, all the different scaling values of your data set. So scaling value means what? Yesterday we have seen that in the yesterday's lecture, the measurement scale, ratio, interval, nominal, ordinal, these are the different scales that a feature has. Okay, so we know that the first feature, it has a 303 values, each for each sample. Okay, corresponding to each sample. Fine. Then whenever your feature has a range of value, it is ideally a good practice to find or to scale the feature. Now here scaling is done using this function called describe. Now what is the scaling? So you can find out here how many count. The first scaling is the number of rows, how many the number of values in that column. So there are total 303 values. That means we have feature value for each sample. Then this shows the mean of this first column. Okay, after taking the sum of each sample value for this feature and then dividing it by the total number of count, that is 303, will give us the mean, right? So this is the mean of this column unnamed. This is the standard deviation. We know that how do we find out the standard deviation? First we find out the variance of the column, variance of the feature, and then we'll just take a square root of that variance will give me the standard deviation. And how do we find out the variance? Can anybody please tell me? How do we find out the variance?
Square of standard deviation.
No. Standard deviation is actually calculated as under root or square root of variance. Okay, this is the formula to calculate the standard deviation. When we take the square root of variance, we will get the standard deviation. But how do we calculate the variance itself? Any guess? No? Okay, so variance is calculated as the square difference of sample minus mean, or mean minus all the sample. You have to take the square difference of mean minus feature value for all the samples. That means I will subtract this mean value 152 from all the samples. That is means here. So 152 minus 1, then 152 minus 2, 152 minus 3, 4, so on and so forth, 303. Right? Well, so that gives me the mean. Okay, divided, we take a square difference of it. And then that gives me the variance. So variance, I already explained you yesterday's lecture. How scattered your instances are from its mean value, that shows the variance. आपके इंस्टेंस स्पेस में आपके जो हाइपर प्लेन है, जहां पे आप आपके सैंपल्स प्लॉट करते हो, डेटा एग्जांपल्स प्लॉट करते हो, वो आपके मीन पॉइंट से कितने दूरी पे है, कितने डिस्टेंस पे है. Okay, how scattered they are from the mean point, at which distance they are positioned, at which distance they are located from the mean point. That is the scatterness, and scatterness is nothing but the variance of your feature. जब सभी फीचर का आप डिफरेंस निकालोगे मीन वैल्यू से, उसको स्क्वायर करने का, दैट गिव्स मी द वेरिएंस. सो दिस इज स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन. Then mean value, we know that we have seen yesterday, there are two concepts. One is decile and other is the quantile. So decile is what? It is a multiple of 10. Any value that is multiple of 10 is indicated as decile. And any value that is multiple of 25 would be referred as the quantiles. Okay? Or quartiles also. So this is the first quartile. And the first quartile value for this first column unnamed is 76. The second quartile value is 152. The third quartile value is 227. And the last quartile or the maximum value of the column is 303. So minimum is 1, maximum is 303. So this table shows you that these 5 values, this 176, 152, 227 and 303, it shows you the range of value in this column. आपके कॉलम में वैल्यूज, न्यूमेरिक वैल्यूज का रेंज क्या है? मिनिमम वैल्यू इज 1, क्वार्टाइल वैल्यू इज 76, मीन इज 152, थर्ड क्वार्टाइल इज 227 and the maximum value is 303. So that's it. I hope you understood. Do you understood it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Then we'll go to our next task, that is find the mean age of patient. We will first find the mean age and then we'll come back to this too. So again, to find the mean age of any column, we will use this function called mean. So because my data frame name is new df, and you can find out the mean of any column. Okay. So in square bracket, in double quotes, you have to specify the name of column. So it will specifically extract that column. New data frame, it is the name of this entire data set, this data frame. And from this data frame, I am extracting the second column, that is age, and I'm finding the mean of that column, that is age. So let's see what is the mean of that column. So 54.43 is the mean of this column. And you can see the same part here. Okay? So 54.43. So same way, I can also calculate the mean of any other column. So I will select the column which has the numeric value. So I'll select the cholesterol. This is the 5th column. And we'll just run it. So the mean value for this column is 246.69, and you can see this here. The same part is also shown here. So in the same way, you can find out the mean of any value. Okay. If you want to find out the standard deviation, let me just check it out. Okay. So it's giving error. Okay, fine. So it's a STD. The name of function is STD. So the mean of, the standard deviation for this column is 51.77. Okay. So what this standard deviation means? This means that all the values in this cholesterol column, they are 51.77%, or you can call it as in terms of percentage or in terms of numbers. It is deviated from the mean value. Okay. So all the values in this column cholesterol, they are 51.77% deviated from the mean value, whatever is the mean value of that column, that is 246. So this is how we read it. Then we'll go to the, how do I find out the next task, that is how do I find out the number of, whether there are any zeros in the column, how many zeros are there, or whether there are some zeros. Okay, so again we use this function. So first we will pass the column. Okay, so here the name of my data frame is new data frame. Then the column that I want to extract, so I have extracted here FBS. Now instead of that, I'll just I'll select another column, EXANG. I have selected the 11th column. Okay, fine. And then if it is equal to 0, so this means what? So we have put a condition that whether this column contains any 0. If it contains 0, then how many zeros are there? It is counted using this function called sum. Remember. So in the first part of this code, what we are doing, we are extracting the cholesterol, this X angular column, okay, and we are checking, we are putting a condition that whether this column contains 0. If it contains 0, then we are just simply counting the number of zeros in that column using this function called sum. So it's very simple actually. Yes, so there are total 204s in this column. Fine.
हॅलो
Now-
सर.
Yes.
सर आपल्याला जर इंडिव्हिज्युअल कॉलम मध्ये किती झिरो आहे ते फाइंड आउट करायचं असेल तर कुठली कमांड यूज करणार?
That is what I am going to explain you here actually. If you want to access any of the rows, okay, from your data set, then you can use this function new df dot ilog, and in the square bracket you can specify the row and column. So if you want to access the first 20 rows, or you can say that fifth row, if you want to access the fifth row, and if you want to access all the columns of that fifth row, then you just simply put colon after the comma. And if you want to specifically access some column, then you have to give the name of that number of that column. Okay, so if I want to access cholesterol, so 0 1 2 3 4, so I want to access the fifth row and fourth column, or maybe from fourth to let's say that 8. Okay, for fifth row I want to access this 4 5 6 7 8, these column values. So it will show you the value for those columns. Okay, just a second. It is just showing the column. Just wait. I think it is not required. Okay, so here are the first 4 rows, okay, and the values for these columns. So we are accessing the 4 rows and for these 4 columns, REST VP, cholesterol, FBS, REST ESG. Okay, so This ilog function is used to typically access the particular locations from your particular samples or sales from your data set. Is it okay, Rahul, now?
Yes, sir, I understood.
Okay,
Thanks.
good. Okay, now the same way, we are going to see that whether any value is missing in the data set or not. Okay, so to check that, what I will do, first I will simply show you. So we have done with this, we have done with this, we have done this, we have done this. So these two tasks are remain, finding the missing value and now extracting this columns from the data set. So to see the missing values in your data set, is null function is used, not null function is used, drop functions, a lot of functions are there. But specifically, if I want to look into the entire data frame, then I'll use the is null function, which is widely used actually to see if there are any missing values in your data set. Fine. So now I will provide the first few rows, that is 25 rows. And I want all the columns, so hence I will not specify anything after column except colon. So that means I want to access all the columns but only first 25 rows. So whenever we are talking about the data frame, so we will talk in the context of rows and columns. So rows, it indicates my sample number, and column, it indicates the feature and the feature values for each row, each sample rather. So I want all the columns. That means I want the value of all the features for this first 25 rows. I'll just run this. So you can see that what Python do, or what this Jupyter Notebook do, usually this happens in every IDE. So what Python do is it replaces every value of your table by false and true. This Boolean value, true and false. So false means what? That cell, particularly if we take this cell, chest pain for the first row, this value, then it is indicated as false. That means it is non-zero value. So false represents non-zero value and true represents zero value. So do you found any zero here? No. Now in first 25 rows, you do not found any zeros. That means किसी भी सेल में ट्रू वैल्यू नहीं है. But this doesn't mean that we do not have any missing value in this data set. We have missing value in this data set. I'll just show you. Fine. So you can see now in the last sample for the CA value, there is a 0. It is represented with 0. That is true. So now I will give you task, next task. You will show it to me in the Saturday session. What is the remedy to replace the missing values? How do we replace the missing values in Python? Okay, I have shown you how to find out the missing values using this is null function. Now you will tell me in the Saturday session how do we replace these values with some values. Okay, or कौन से values से करना है? We know that missing values, if there are small missing values in your data set, like only 2 or 3 samples are having the missing values, then there is no need to replace the values of those sample. What we will do, simply we will discard, we will remove, we truncate those rows, those sample from our data set. हम उसको remove कर देंगे हमारे data set से. But if you found that by physically or by by visualizing the data set, you came to know that there are a lot of samples which has the missing values. In a sample of 300, if 50 or more than 50 samples have missing values, then this would be a big problem when you build a machine learning model. Then for such cases, what is the remedy? What is the solution? Thus, in those cases, when your data set is having large amount of missing values, then in that case, the missing values will be replaced by the mean value. Now there is some percentage. If missing values percentage is 25%, okay, we will replace those missing values by the mean value. But if your data set exceeds the missing value above 20%, 25 and above, then we will simply do not use that data set, because there is no meaning. There is, I mean, you, whatever model that you will build, doesn't matter whether how fast is your algorithm, how accurate is your algorithm, but ultimately your algorithm may not achieve the goal for which it is built. Okay, so definitely it would have some overfitting or underfitting kind of concept. So we'll learn this underfitting and overfitting probably in the second unit. Okay, so that's it from the missing value, and now we are at the end. Now from this data set, we understood that the last column is basically a the output variable, and the name of this column is AHD. So what I will do, we will now come to our last task. We have to extract these 4 columns only, and randomly we have to divide the data set in training and testing. Okay, so now what we will do is, so this is my data frame, new df. Okay, and from this data set, I'm directly accessing the last column with the name EHD. So anything in the single quotes that represents the column name. So this is the name of my last column, which is basically a target variable, or you will also call it as a response variable, class label, or output class variable, anything. Okay, all these are the same things. So the name of the last column, and I am copying all the values of this last column into this new data frame called Y. So I am accessing only last column, which is my output class label. So we'll just run it. I'll just show you what's there in the Y if you want to see. So you can see in Y, we have the last column values. Okay. Same way, now if I want to use what is the task that is given to us, we have to extract only age, sex, then chest pain, rest BP, cholesterol, these columns only, and rest of the columns should be dropped. So now we are going to drop these columns, except these columns. We should know the names of these columns actually. Otherwise you can do one thing. You can just go here, X new df, and comma AHD, comma age, comma sex, comma chest pain, comma rest BP, comma cholesterol, and you can just simply copy it into the X. But instead of that, what I did is here, because I know that last column is my output variable or target variable, so I don't need it in the input data frame. This is my input data frame and this is my output data frame, right? So X is basically the input values and Y is the output values for all the input values X input feature vector. Fine. So what I did is here, data dot drop, simply we have to change the name, new df dot drop. So this drop function will drop the column that you will specify in the function parameter, first parameter of this function, AHD. So which column that I wanted to drop? I want to drop the last column AHD, comma axis is equal to 1. So this will actually drop the last column and copy all the remaining column in the X. That I will show you. So I'll just type the X and you can see all the values are there except the last column. Okay. You can also do one thing. If you want to really use the previous function, X is equal to new df, and what we did here, we pass the name of each of the columns. So we will pass H, and we will pass second column, we will pass the third column. I will just show you for these 3 columns only. we will do one thing. So instead of this, we'll just pass using iLock. We will pass all the rows, but what are these column numbers? We'll just explore these column numbers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's there. Now I will explore the X. Okay, I'm extremely sorry. It's a capital X actually. You can see these are the values that we have extracted for these 4 columns. Understood? Do you understood?
Yes, sir.
Any questions so far?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. If you have any doubt, then please ask me. Otherwise, we will stop here. You can take your time to ask the question. We'll take 1 minute. We will give 1 minute time to think and ask the question. Now, I will give you one, in fact, I would say one task. So you can see uh, okay. I just stopped. Just wait. Do not consider that list. Okay, so my question is ready now. Can you create a data frame for these 2 lists? The first list, it consists of the string, the name of people, Tom, Nick, Krish, and Jack. And the second list, it consists of the age of these people, 20, 21, 19, and 18. Can you create a data frame from this? Create a data frame from this. I will show you at the end of this.
Sir, can I say
Yes, yes.
data frame equal to PD data frame first when print df. So I will
Data,
take list. So I will take list as sir you given the string Tom, Nick, Chris, Jack.
okay. And how do you, uh, create a data frame for this second column?
Take data sir data equal to names and then again age and then curly bracket I will do data frame equal to pd dot data frame data and then I will print sir both name and age.
Okay, fine. That's good. So what I will do now, I will create the first data frame for the first list, that is names. Okay, so I'll create a data frame. Just go to the next one. Just give me a moment. I'll just insert a cell so that you can also see that. I'll share the screen. Okay, it's hang actually. Okay, I'll share my entire screen so that it would be visible to all of you. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we will do, I have created the first data frame for the name. Okay, so it will be created as data frame 1. Df stands for data frame 1 is equal to, in curly braces, in single quotes, name. So this is the name of my column, colon, followed by, in square bracket, I have passed the values for this column: Tom, Nick, Krish, Jack. I'll just simply run it. Now I'll show you what's there in the data frame. So it's there. Now I will, same way, I'll create the second data frame, which is equal to, and what was the name of column?
Age.
Age. So I will simply pass the age. See, here we do not require the single quotes, because you know that strings are represented in single quotes. But here we are just representing the numbers. So 23, 34, 12, 25 plus. That's it. So we have 4 people in the name. So we have this string. And we'll simply run this. Okay. Now, can we create a single string instead of creating a 2 strings? Yes. Sorry,
Yes.
instead of creating a 2 frames, we can create a single frame for these 2 different columns. Okay, name and age. So it will be created as data is equal to, in single quotes, name, colon. I'll just simply copy this value.
And directly write df1 and comma df2 also, no?
Yeah, you can do that also, no problem. But I think we need to use the function for that purpose. Okay, let's try it. Actually, I didn't try that. df1 comma df2. Let's see whether it's run. No, it gives the error. Dict unhashable type.
No, sir.
Okay,
First
okay,
we
okay.
need to, sir,
Okay,
first
okay,
we
okay,
need to
okay.
create a directory, then it will get converted into data frame.
Let me just check this one. No, no, even this is not allowed actually.
Sir, we need
Okay,
to
let's.
form a
Sir,
dictionary of the two lists and then create the data frame of it.
yes, sir. आपण डिक्शनरीज बनवली नाही सर अजून.
Yes, exactly. So that's the reason actually. So I think you were right. Instead of that, I'll just go here. I'll copy this here, comma, H. Now it will create a data frame. Okay, we do not understood actually whether it is created really or not. Yeah, it is created. Now, when I click on data, what was the name of frame? It is data. Okay, we'll simply run it. So here is your data frame, which contains 2 columns, name and age. So can you just create a table from this df1 and df2? That is what I wanted to ask to all of you. So on
Yes, sir.
Saturday, you just show me how to create a new data frame from the existing data frame. Okay, that's it. If you have still any doubt, then please ask me. Otherwise, we will stop here. Any doubt? So you have another lecture at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. I'm extremely sorry. Nobody has given me idea about this. Okay, thanks a lot for patiently listening. And I personally request all of you that please do the practice of small programs in the Python. Otherwise, you won't you will lose the essence of entire machine learning. जब तक आप लोग प्रैक्टिकल्स नहीं करोगे कुछ नहीं होगा. छोटे छोटे कोड्स, डेटा फ्रेम कैसे क्रिएट करने की है, शेप कैसे फाइंड आउट करने का है, 2 डेटा फ्रेम्स को कैसे रीड करना है, या फिर एक डेटा फ्रेम से दूसरे डेटा फ्रेम में राइट कैसे करना है. यू हैव टू, अभी ये सभी चीजें मैं आपको एक प्रैक्टिकल में नहीं दे सकता. आई हैव टू कंप्लीट द एंटायर सिलेबस. तो ये प्रैक्टिस जो है ये आपको करनी पड़ेगी. ओके, अभी सैटरडे को आप ये 2-3 चीजें मुझे दिखा दो. ओके, अभी जो बोला था 2 डेटा फ्रेम से न्यू डेटा फ्रेम क्रिएट करना है. एक फाइल से डेटा रीड करके दूसरे फाइल, एम्प्टी फाइल में डेटा आपको स्टोर करना है. राइट ऑपरेशन, व्हाट वी यूज टू कॉल इट. तो ये सब आपको बताना पड़ेगा. ओके, इज इट ओके?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and you can show what additional things that you have done. Thanks a lot. I will not take much time. You can exit this meeting. See you on the Saturday session.